Now, it's important to note that if you are changing the instructional method when there are registered students, you will not be able to change that at all until the students are dropped from the course. So students must be dropped from the course first, and then you would make the change, the departments would make the change to the instructional method, that modality change that they're going to, and then the students would need to register back into the course. And of course, the departments too would also let them know of that change as well. So keep that in mind too. Otherwise, those are the big changes you'll be making in this screen here. Everything else, you should be good to go. And again, please don't touch anything down here. It's like the Mona Lisa. You can look and go ooh and ah and think it's wonderful, but you just don't want to touch. Now we're going to go back up and we're going to talk about enrollment. So for enrollment, again, this is information that we've been given from departments. And again, this is the testing part of Banner today that we're in. But if there were students actually in the course, we would see the actual enrollment of that course right here. So if there are 2 students enrolled, we'd see 2 here, things of that nature. And then the remaining would update. So for a maximum of 10, 2 would be enrolled, remaining would show 8. If it's decided that they're thinking, oh, no, I want to change this to 15, well, you would just delete that, type in 15, tab over. You always want to leave the wait list maximum to 10. That is default. And then you click save. And if you see that green arrow, it's perfection. That's what you want. But that's what it would look like if you need to change the enrollment. Again, changes in Banner are instantaneous. So the moment you make that change, it's going to affect everything else. Okay? There's no 24-hour waiting period in that sense. Don't even worry about projected or dates down here. It's really this one that you're going to want to pay attention to. In the case that instructors say, hey, we're changing the enrollment number to this instead of that. So meeting times and instructor. There are going to be times where when you go into your sections, you might see this all blank. And what I mean is it'll look like this. Now, for me to do that, I just press tab. If it looks blank like so, this basically means that it's TBA, will be announced. Now, I know in AIS sometimes it's called a range, right? If you see this blank like so, that means that there are no times or days given, and therefore students can't see that when they register for a course. What you put in SAWSECT right here, the edits you make in Banner, students will 1000% see as well as soon as that change is made. Now, remember how I said when you delete that meeting time, you are also deleting the building in the room too. And take a look here as well. When we changed that schedule type, because it's face-to-face and that changes to an LE, this also updates when you do that. So just an FYI there. Because there isn't anything here, students also can't see this. So if you are in the midst of a TBA for a meeting location, this will also be blank. So you just want to leave it blank if it's up in the air. Now let's say, what about the instructor? It's the same thing as you can imagine below, because below is blank as well. So if that's blank, that means that that is, again, another TBA. We don't know the instructor yet, so we leave that blank. We actually don't have an option to put TBA for students to see. But let's say that we heard back from the art department and they say, hey, because this is going to be a face-to-face, which is, if you notice here for meeting type where it says class, you can reserve for face-to-face. An exam, by the way, and I apologize, I should have mentioned this before, you don't have to worry about exam. Don't even worry about that one. You really don't have to worry about meeting type at all unless it's going to be synchronous online or flex or high flex. Majority of the time, you're probably going to see class. So in this circumstance, again, face-to-face, so class it is. But let's say, okay, I've decided I want to take this at a certain time. Here's a question. Do we have to use approved meeting time codes?
Yes.
1,000 points to everyone. Correct. We do have to use the approved meeting time codes. If you have 2 ways. So you can type it in based off of that spreadsheet that was created for everyone, or you can click the 3 dots and it shows you the entire list of approved meeting times in order to comply for HLC compliance. Okay, this is why these meeting time codes, were created to comply with HLC compliance. If you look through and scroll through and you don't see your time, then you would need to reach out to Dr. Caprioglio for approval. You must use one of these times. Now, let's say you don't want to scroll through 15, you want to go through less pages. If you click the arrow here, you can click 40, and a whole lot more shows up. All of these different times. So we could do BH for Tuesday, Thursday, from looks like 3:35 to 4:30. Now again, Banner works in military time, so you're going to have to remember that as well. There should be a conversion table on Blackboard or in the process of being on Blackboard for training materials. Now let's say for today, we want to do, and as we scroll through, you can see all the different options. So Tuesday only, Wednesday only, Thursday, Friday. Oh, we have some new Monday, Wednesday. Let's click on Monday, Wednesday. Let's do I1. So let's select I1 from 9:05 to 11:55. Click select. This automatically populates, and then you can click save. Again, the green is perfect. That's what we want. But if you look and tab over where it says meeting time, it's not going to automatically save it to where you still see that I1 that we used. So that's kind of like a behind the scenes thing, but it pre-populated correctly. So if there was already a time in here and you were like, wait a minute, they're changing a time, then it'd be the same process. You'd go back to the three dots if you don't have the spreadsheet. And let's say you wanted to do Tuesday, Thursday, 9:05 to 11 instead of Monday, Wednesday. You just highlight this, click select. It automatically changes for you. And then you click save. Well, it's a green message. Now, that's how you would change the time. There might be instances where maybe you have 2 meeting times for a section of a course. If you have 2 meeting times for one section, then all you would need to do is click insert and follow the same exact protocols. But for instance, if it's going to be synchronous online, then you would need to make sure the meeting type matches for both. So you would change this to RSYO, and you see how that automatically pre-fills? You have to have those dates pre-fill in order to put in the rest of the information. And this happens too. Because we're training and trying to add another time, Banner's saying, okay, well, you can't change the other time to the other meeting class type to RSYO until you give us the hours per week. Basically, I went a little too fast. If you go too fast like this, it's fine just to click delete there, save, and then we could try making this RSYO first if you were, again, changing the meeting types. Then click insert. Then let's try this. Perfect. And then we can put in the meeting time there. So as you can tell, it's a little finagling with Banner. So just keep in mind when you run into that. But this is where, let's say I want to do AG, just a random meeting time code. You could just type it in, press tab, and everything already pre-populates. And then click save. So what this means and what students can see, this section of our 491 is going to be synchronous online for both meeting types, for both meeting times, Mondays and Wednesdays, Fridays, and Tuesdays and Thursdays at these times. So that's how you would add another time. But in the case that you don't offer that, because majority of the time it's really just one-time offering, and you accidentally may have put in a second time, just go ahead and highlight that section. So you just click it and click delete and save. Now, look at that. Credit value, of course, has been modified. Session credits of 0 and the meeting time recorded may need to be updated. Well, what that means is you want to go back to meeting location and credits, and this is what they're talking about. So they're saying, okay, this course is variable, and in this circumstance, they're saying, no, the department only wants this specific section only to be 3 hours. We have to update this. So we type in a 3, it takes us back after we press tab and click save. And now we're good. So there's a lot of moving pieces, but that's what that would look like. So that's what you do in case you have more than one time. So for classrooms, you don't have to worry about this automatic scheduler. It really doesn't do anything. When you don't see anything here, that means the student can't see it either. So this means, again, we don't have a meeting location yet. But let's say we do now. So let's say Art 491 decided, the instructor said, you know what, let's use Chemistry 104. You can just type in Chem, the abbreviated for the building name, and tab over. And if you know the room number, you can just type it in, 104, tab, and then click save. Room conflict. Okay, the big red warning. Question, true or false? We want to avoid overrides. Correct.
Avoid overrides.
Yep. 1,000 points to you. We do want to avoid overrides. Something that you'll see for your courses is probably going to be an O, because this is signifying to departments, hey, you asked us to put in this time. We did, but that requires an override. But for us to avoid this, a question was asked earlier. I want to share it here because it's a great question. And that is, well, Ainsley, how can we just avoid overrides in general? What can we do so we don't have to put in the O? Here's what you could do. So if you want to avoid putting in this O, or if you even see the O on your sections, what you can do is, before we save this, let's remove the O. Let's go back to room. And if that O is meaning, which it is, at the same time, someone else is also using that same exact room, it's a conflict. So those overrides are saying, warning, 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 there's a scheduling conflict. And you don't want to put in the O, which again, we want to avoid. If you just remove the room, so backspace the room, you can leave the building, press save, no override needed. But here's something you need to keep in mind. Again, the student sees this. So when they register for courses, they're going to see, okay, so it looks like this class is going to take place in the chemistry building, but a room isn't there yet. Okay, so they're just going to see where it takes place. And it's up to your decision, really. If you just want to leave the whole thing off until a decision's made, you can do that as well. But just know then that that means the student's not going to see where this is taking place. So just keep that in mind. If you decide, hey, you see an O for one of your courses, and to resolve the O, you're just going to go ahead and remove the room until that conflict is resolved. I don't know how conflicts are resolved with departments. That's something that has to be handled on that end. But that's one option that you have. Now, let's say you want to look at a different room altogether. So you get that warning that pops up. You don't want to put the O in there. So you decide, hey, let's just delete the whole location until it's resolved. 5 weeks go past and, hey, we got a new room in life sciences. Perfect. We can put it in. So it'd be the same thing. Okay, you go back to this section, go to meeting location and credits, click the 3 dots. For campus, you want to put, would it be MP or MPC? Correct. 1,000 points. So MP, and you can go ahead and tab over, or you can press the 3 dots and click MP there. That's really the only one you're going to be using for main campus courses. And click go. And oh, there's the life science building. That's the one we want. So we can click that, highlight it, and select, and it automatically populates. Now let's say you forgot, oh, I don't remember what room it is. If I see it though, we'll be good. You can press the 3 dots where it says building. You can type in LS, or you can press the 3 dots and it'll give you a list of buildings. Click go, and you have all these options. Question, what does the type of O mean?
Right. Oh, I'm thinking of something else.
That's fair, but I heard open. You're good. So everyone gets 1,000 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Yep, you're good. So that's correct. So we want to make sure we have a classroom, right? Not an office. So, C for classroom. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose LS 103. That has a capacity of 74 people. So let's go ahead and click select and save that. And voila, you didn't need the override because the departments figured out where the conflict was, a decision was made, and the decision was for this section to be an LS 103. So that's one option that you have. And that's how you would change to the buildings or the locations for a course offering.